Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time I have with you first impressions of the new Galaxy Z Fold7. Let's get started. Hey, so what should I say about this? I have quite mixed feelings regarding this device. Samsung has definitely taken several steps forward, especially concerning comfort and design, which is great. However, it's important to mention that they have also taken some steps backwards. I will discuss these throughout this video so that you can share your thoughts with me. Personally, one of those steps backwards really affected me a lot, but we will definitely address it. What are your thoughts if we begin by exploring more or less the new features? Keep in mind that these are just our initial impressions. In due time, we will have an unboxing to learn the detailed specifications and a comprehensive review to cover all the tests you are accustomed to. But for now, let's swiftly examine the changes Samsung has made from one generation to the next. The most noticeable change will be in the design. You will observe that now the device is going to be significantly thinner, reaching a thickness of 8.9 millimeters. For instance, when we compare it to the Z Fold6, which has a thickness of 12.1 millimeters, the difference is truly significant and quite noticeable. In this regard, there is a substantial evolution that brings it remarkably close to the thickness of the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which measures 8.2 millimeters. When unfolded, it boasts a thickness of just 4.2 millimeters and its weight is 215 grams. This weight is actually lighter than that of the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which weighs 218 grams. This is quite an achievement in design and engineering. They've made this device lighter than traditional ones. To be precise, it is 26% thinner compared to the previous generation. So, as I mentioned, the most significant advancements and the biggest strides they've made have been in terms of design and comfort. This is because it is a device that feels incredibly lightweight. It's almost like holding a traditional format device, but in this foldable design, it is extremely thin. And I found that aspect really appealing. There are also enhancements in the hinge and consequently improvements in the fold area. This was another section where perhaps some users were not completely satisfied. So, they now integrate ultra-thin glass that is 50% thicker than the previous generation. With this enhancement, it is much stronger, shall we say, to withstand the pressure of bending. It might even have a little more resistance, perhaps, although this has not been officially communicated yet. However, what they have expressed is that the latest innovation is a hinge designed in the form of a drop. I am really very pleased to see that the Galaxy Z Fold6 will not be as resistant to drops, which will allow us to fold the screen with a lot of force or not experience a lot of stress in this area. However, it is slightly recessed by the inner part of the hinge. This is quite remarkable, considering it is such a thin hinge. Honestly, the work done in this aspect of the evolution of thickness has been truly impressive. Moreover, to top it all off, we will also find that titanium is used in the hinge area. Therefore, I believe the resistance is definitely guaranteed. However, since we were discussing resistance, we will find in this instance Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2 for front protection. This is another distinction from the previous generation, which, by the way, was prone to scratches. I observed this after using the Galaxy Z Fold6. In this new generation, we anticipate it won't scratch as easily, given that the last generation was already fairly resistant to drops. I mention this based on my personal experience, but it is anticipated to enhance scratch resistance in this particular case as well. However, what I didn't like is that it doesn't integrate Gorilla Armor, either the first or second generation, which we often see in the Galaxy S series. It's possible that a thicker glass would add more weight or something similar, and here they are prioritizing it to be as thin as possible, much like what we observed with the Galaxy S25 Edge. But once you become accustomed to the anti-reflective finish that the Galaxy S25 Edge offers, the Galaxy S25 Edge does present a bit of a challenge. Ultra, it can be somewhat challenging to accept a glass with a bit more reflection. It's not disastrous or anything of that sort, but I must say, once you've experienced the glass from that other Samsung device, you will definitely wish to have it on absolutely every cell phone. It truly makes a difference in the overall experience. On the back, you'll find Gorilla Glass Victus 2, providing protection for the rear against folds, so it's well equipped. The external screen's proportion has changed, yet it still doesn't match the same proportion that we typically find in devices with traditional form factors. It's still slightly narrower, but either way, I believe there's been a noticeable improvement to make the screen somewhat wider, which allows for a bit more comfort when using the keyboard. This is something that, in my opinion, could have been quite lacking in previous generations, creating a bit of discomfort. However, this alteration in the screen ratio has also resulted in the internal screen becoming larger, now extending to 8 inches. This means we have additional space to work with, without necessarily making the device thicker or heavier. This is why I believe that these aspects are where Samsung has made the most progress, and they could be extremely beneficial at the user level. Then we have the anticipated evolution regarding the processor, which would be the Snapdragon 8 Elite. It's the most powerful one available today. We already know, for instance, it offers 26% more power in the GPU. Moreover, there's a notable improvement in artificial intelligence power. with an NPU that's 41% more powerful. This enhanced power of the AI chip can be utilized within the Galaxy AI options that the cell phone integrates. There, we will also see some news, but before we go to them, let me tell you that in this case, we will find a battery with the same capacity as the last generation, which is 4,400 milliampere hours. It is important to narrow things down a bit here because I'm sure many would prefer a larger battery. However, Samsung has made the device not just thinner, but much thinner, while still maintaining the same battery capacity. So, in my opinion, this aspect is quite a remarkable achievement. Additionally, Samsung stands out as one of the top manufacturers in terms of battery optimization. Through the tests and reviews I regularly conduct, it is evident that some manufacturers offer batteries with nearly 6,000 milliampere hours. Yet, they deliver performance that is quite comparable to Samsung's batteries, which are only 5,000 milliampere hours. This is truly impressive and speaks volumes about Samsung's efficiency in optimizing their battery usage. I think this won't be its strongest part, but it's not disappointing. It still supports 25 watts charging, which bothers me. It could be better. We will have a slightly faster charging, but well, probably also because of the density of the battery, it would have to be managed differently. We will also find wireless charging, in this case 15 watts, and maintains the reverse wireless charging, so you can put to charge an accessory or something similar on the back of the cell phone. In that regard, I believe the experience has been quite comprehensive. Another area where there has been some development, although it wasn't exactly the type of evolution I was hoping for or requested, is in the camera. It's the main sensor in particular that has received an upgrade, and ironically, it's the one I thought needed the least attention. However, they have upgraded the sensor from 50 to 200 megapixels, but in practical terms, this change will not make a noticeable difference in everyday use. Yes, the sensor is larger, allowing it to capture more light. According to Samsung's data, it will have a 44% improvement in light capture. Naturally, this allows for a crop within the sensor for optical quality in the 2x zoom. While the camera is fine, I must emphasize that it was the one needing the least enhancement. In my opinion, if any camera in this foldable needed an upgrade, it was the telephoto camera, which unfortunately remains unchanged at 10 megapixels with an optical zoom of 3x. The reality is that I've been rather disappointed here because I haven't seen any significant improvements. As a result, the zoom remains an unresolved issue in foldable phones. If you're someone who enjoys taking a lot of photos with medium, long, or particularly very long zoom distances, then the best option for you, if you're interested in a Galaxy, is still the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I wasn't satisfied here, and the ultra-wide camera still has 12 megapixels. I think they could have upped the resolution, though I don't see much need for improvement there. The telephoto camera desperately needs improvement, and now we'll have to wait for the Galaxy Z Fold8 to see if they make those enhancements there. Another change involves the front camera, since we know that being a foldable device, it has two, including an external one. And an additional internal one that will now be visible because it lacks the under-screen camera technology that we had observed over several generations. For some reason, Samsung believed that it was a better option to do this, and this one I think is a step backwards, because the fact that it had a screen on top if it gave you more visibility. And it's actually a camera that we don't typically use for taking pictures. At least for me as a Galaxy Z Fold6 user, and having used previous generations, I find that I never really take photos with this camera. This internal camera is mainly used by me for making video calls, taking full advantage of the available space. It has worked well for that purpose, providing us with a seamless and uninterrupted experience. But now they've switched to a screen with a camera hole, and luckily, it's a wider camera. Samsung now encourages group selfies with this screen space, perhaps to boost their phone's appeal. People might ask, why use a tablet for selfies? Then you fold it and reveal, oh, it's a phone. Maybe that's why, but the truth is, in that regard, I actually prefer taking selfies with the extra ultra-wide camera that you have the option to use. You simply set the selfie mode and rotate it. Maybe Samsung aims to save users a few steps, but honestly, I'd say selfies taken in this format are of much better quality. So, I truly don't understand this step they have taken. To me, it's more of a step backwards. However, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about integrating the camera with a perforated screen rather than having the screen placed on top. Samsung is clearly maintaining its renowned image processing engine, the ProVisual engine, along with the capability to record HDR videos in 10-bit. This ensures high quality, matching the expectations for such a high-priced device, which we will discuss in terms of its cost. In fact, the cell phone is capable of recording video at up to 8K resolution at 30 frames per second. Additionally, if you switch to the slow motion mode, you can enjoy capturing video at 4K resolution at 120 frames per second. This is possible with both the main camera and the ultra-wide camera. So, in terms of video recording capabilities, I believe they are quite satisfactory. However, even when using this slow motion feature, it becomes noticeable that the sensor being used. The telephoto camera is quite outdated by now, and it lacks the support for what is required in today's world, particularly in a device that comes at such a high cost. On the software side, It incorporates features like an enhanced photo assistant that includes a side-by-side editor, allowing you to compare changes between two photos. The audio eraser, which debuted with the Galaxy S25 Ultra series, is now accessible in real time, not just in the gallery, but also in the audio recorder and video player. Samsung added Gemini to notes and call recordings to filter noise for clearer audio. This device debuts Android 16 and One UI 8. It is the first from Samsung that out of the box comes with this version of the operating system, and obviously there will be some improvements. The aesthetics remain very similar to what we had already seen since One UI 7, which was the biggest update in recent times, and Samsung wanted to highlight especially the incorporation of Gemini, optimized for large screens that usually make good use of the internal screen space. They have additionally pointed out that you can use the circle to search feature while playing games to easily find information about a character you come across or something similar. This feature also integrates new perspectives of the artificial intelligence assistants within various applications, like the web browser, voice recorder, or Samsung Note. This is done simply to make better use of the available space. So overall, we can say that it's an operating system that is particularly well designed for large screens. Actually, you can drag and drop content too. Now of the images you generate with Galaxy AI to other applications. However, let me see, I haven't yet mentioned the setback that has really impacted me significantly. So, here comes the sad part of the video. Unfortunately, this device no longer includes support for the S Pen, which was a surprising and disappointing revelation for me. Somewhat at a loss for words. As a Galaxy Z Fold6 user, I do use the S Pen. Surely Samsung decided this because they realize users aren't using the S Pen much, and so they could make the phone thinner. If they managed to sacrifice this feature so effectively, I'm still trying to fully understand it. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the S Pen was a valuable tool for the Galaxy Z Fold? I'm curious to hear what you think. We will have to wait and see if in the future Samsung decides to incorporate the S Pen once more. For those who closely follow the channel, you might have noticed how gradually Samsung was developing an S Pen that could function without the need for a digitizer. The digitizer is the layer that has been removed from the cell phone to make it thinner. However, to everyone's surprise, this new S Pen did not make its debut in this particular device. So we will continue to wait in that regard. At least it still maintains the IP48 rating as a resistance against water and certain particles. So please let me know your thoughts, because these are obviously very important steps forward in terms of design and comfort. However, for me, it feels like a step backwards in terms of productivity due to the absence of the S Pen. But you will share your opinion in the comments. For now, let's wrap up by discussing the availability of colors. The one I am holding in my hands right now is the Blue Shadow Edition, which is the flagship color of this series. I personally find it really quite nice. Additionally, it will also be available in jet black color, silver shadow, and there will be an exclusive edition that can only be purchased online, available in a special color. The device will come in 2 versions to Mexico. It might differ elsewhere, so check your region. The top version has 16 GB RAM and 1 TB storage, a spectacular addition. Regarding productivity and performance, but its price is really high in Mexico, has been announced at 56,499 pesos, fortunately, as we are used to. In Samsung, there is a pre-sale stage, so if you buy it at this stage, you will have a price of 48,999 pesos. And there is a basic edition that has 12 GB of RAM with 512 GB of storage that will be cheaper, announced in Mexico at a price of 48,999 pesos, that in the pre-sale stage will go down to 45,999 pesos, but it is still a price extremely high and crucial. I have a coupon for you, 10% off. It's on the screen, TechFF_10. And an interesting thing to note is that Samsung will be increasing the points. In case you weren't aware, when you make purchases at a Samsung store, they award you points that can be redeemed later for new products. It seems that they will be offering 5 times the usual points, meaning they are multiplying the points by 5. So, you can definitely take advantage of this offer and use those extra points. Additionally, there's another coupon available that you can use to receive the 25 watts charger as a gift. The coupon code is W25FF, and I am displaying it on the screen for you. By using this coupon, you will also receive the 25 watts charger. So, if you were already considering purchasing these devices, make sure to take advantage of these coupons. Use the link I have provided here in the description. Furthermore, the silver and mint editions will be exclusively available for the most affordable model. Please share your thoughts in the comments. I've given you a brief overview of my initial impressions, but as time progresses, we'll delve deeper into analyzing the functionality and performance of the cameras and the overall capabilities of this device. At this point, we've come to the conclusion of this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to let us know, and we'll catch up with you in the next one.